The queue advanced in precise increments, the kind designed by people who believed impatience was a software bug. He shuffled forward, felt the familiar pause in his thoughts, then the release. The system liked him today. A ceiling voice congratulated everyone for cooperating and delivered a joke about a memory audit walking into a bar and forgetting why it was there. Someone laughed too hard. Someone else looked offended on principle. She spoke before he could decide whether to smile. You still tense your shoulders when you're about to lie. He turned, already rehearsing a denial he had used for years. Then she leaned closer, ignoring at least 2 posted warnings about personal proximity, and lowered her voice. I know you're carrying my image. His first instinct was to laugh, which was unfortunate, because the scanner interpreted laughter as confession-adjacent behavior. A drone slid toward them and projected a friendly face. Please remain calm. Panic increases storage costs. I'm calm, he said quickly. This is my relaxed face. The drone disagreed, but drifted away. She watched it go, amused. They're getting better, she said. Last cycle, they accused me of thinking too loudly. You shouldn't say things like that, he replied. Or things like what you just said. Or really, anything near me. She nodded, solemn for half a second. That's fair, but I've already said it. So now we're sharing consequences. He felt the old pressure behind his eyes, the one that meant something had slipped past the filters. Physical images don't exist anymore. They do, she said. They're just shy. He almost smiled. That annoyed him. If you know what you claim to know, you also know what it costs. Yes, she said. And you always overestimate consequences. You used to say, the galaxy ran on fear. I said it ran on paperwork. A passing screen announced a scheduled humor injection. The punchline misfired. She laughed anyway. 2 strangers laughed with her, then blinked, confused but lighter. You do that on purpose, he said. I do lots of things on purpose, she replied. Remember? I'm not allowed to. Allowed is such a flexible word. The line moved again. He didn't. Somewhere against his ribs, something small and forbidden seemed heavier than it should be. How could you possibly know? He asked. She stepped back, already becoming just another person the system would forget. Because you never learned how to let go, she said. And because I never learned how to disappear. The scanner cleared him with a bored tone. The drone returned with a joke about compliance. He didn't hear it. For the first time in years, forgetting felt like work. The city announced its mood before sunrise, broadcasting a gentle reminder that anxiety levels were trending above acceptable limits, and that everyone should consider a light joke before breakfast. He complied by muttering one to himself while brushing his teeth, something about quantum uncertainty and missing socks. The mirror politely logged it as an attempt. By the time he reached the memory cafe, forgetting was already on the menu. Patrons sat quietly, while neural dampeners hummed, sipping beverages calibrated to erase mild regrets. He ordered the default. The cup asked if he wanted the sugar of blissful ignorance or the bitterness of selective recall. He chose medium. like a coward. She was already there. "You're late," she said, without accusation. "I told the table to wait, but it doesn't respect me." "That's because tables are loyal to gravity," he replied, sitting anyway. "You shouldn't be here." "I'm everywhere I shouldn't be," she said. "It's a hobby." A waiter glided past and offered a joke sample. She declined. The waiter looked wounded. "You realize," he said quietly, "this place deletes conversations by default." She tapped the fowl. It flickered, offended. "Only if you talk like a citizen. Try talking like a mistake." He snorted despite himself. The dampener above them crackled, uncertain how to classify that sound. "Why now?" he asked. "Why say anything at all?" "Because you keep carrying weight you're not built for," she said. "And because the system thinks I'm a rounding error." "That's not comforting." "It shouldn't be." Around them, people laughed on the schedule. Someone spilled a drink and immediately forgot why they were embarrassed. She watched it all with open interest. "You know," she said, "your civilization is very proud of forgetting. But it never learned what to do with what leaks. What leaks gets punished." "Sometimes," she said. "Sometimes it tells jokes and survives." A security notice blinked in his peripheral vision, reminding him to maintain emotional neutrality. He waved it away like a fly. "If you stay near me," he said, "you'll trigger an audit." "Already did," she replied. "They think I'm nostalgic about a childhood I never had." He laughed. This time, the dampener shut off entirely. "You're dangerous," he said. "Yes," she agreed, "but not in the way they measure." Outside, the city adjusted its tone again, lowering concern levels. Inside his chest, something old refused to quiet. When she stood to leave, she leaned close enough for the system to notice and panic. "Next time," she said lightly, "bring the thing you're hiding. I want to see if it's aged as badly as you." Then she was gone, leaving him with a cup of forgetting he no longer trusted, and the uncomfortable suspicion that humor might be the most subversive technology left. The alert arrived disguised as a compliment. His wrist implant vibrated and informed him that his emotional variance had been upgraded from unremarkable to interesting, which was bureaucratic slang for someone is watching. He thanked it politely. The implant noted his gratitude and suggested a breathing exercise shaped like a joke. He ignored both. By evening, the city's lights flickered into their approved patterns, spelling out reassurance in colors that had been tested on lab-grown optimists. He took the long route home, the one with the extra cameras, because paradoxically, that was where no one really looked. Halfway across a pedestrian bridge, his implant whispered that loitering was inefficient. He leaned on the rail anyway. "You always choose the worst places to think," she said. He didn't jump this time. He was proud of that. "You're late," he said, "and you're standing in a high visibility zone." "Yes, well," she replied, "invisibility is overrated. It gives people ideas." His implant flared, running threat assessments it clearly didn't understand. She watched the light with interest. "That thing hates me," she said. "It hates everything it can't categorize." "Same," she said. "That's how I know we'll get along." He laughed despite himself, then checked the sky for drones. None descended. Apparently, laughter was still ambiguous. "You asked me to bring it," he said. "And you didn't," she said, "which means you did." He reached inside his jacket and felt the weight there, absurdly solid. Technology had moved on, but the object hadn't gotten the memo. He didn't show it. Just knowing it was there felt like a confession. "They'll erase you," he said. "Or worse, they'll explain why they're doing it." She grimaced. "I hate explanations. They ruin perfectly good disasters." A patrol unit hummed past below, broadcasting a joke about freedom and compliance that no one laughed at. She waited until it was gone. "You think this is about the image," she said. "It isn't. It's about continuity. They cut stories into pieces and call the gaps peace." "That's poetic," he said. "And illegal." "I know," she said brightly. "I practiced." The bridge lights dimmed, responding to a spike somewhere nearby. His implant suggested surrender as a stress reduction technique. "If they find out," he said, "I lose everything." She stepped closer, just enough to confuse the sensors. "You lose a version of yourself they approved," she said. "You keep the one you forgot you were allowed to have." "That's not comforting either." "I'm terrible at comfort," she admitted, "but I'm excellent at inconvenient truths." He hesitated, then pulled the image free just long enough for her to see it. Her eyes changed, not in color, but in depth, as if something old had just been allowed to finish a sentence. "It survived," she said softly, then lighter. "And you still fold things badly." Sirens bloomed in the distance, cheerful as ever. "You should run," he said. She smiled. "I am, just not away." The bridge lights surged back to normal. She was gone. His implant congratulated him on completing a personal growth moment. For once, it wasn't wrong. The summons arrived without drama, which made it terrifying. No alarms, no flashing colors, just a polite notification informing him that his identity review had been scheduled early, as a courtesy. The city's tone softened immediately, projecting encouragement in warm hues. Somewhere, a joke was prepared in case he needed it. He walked to the center instead of being escorted. That alone felt rebellious. His implant suggested a smile for optimal outcomes. He didn't. The room was empty, except for the interface, a calm void that prided itself on empathy simulations. It congratulated him on a life lived within acceptable parameters and apologized in advance for any inconvenience caused by necessary adjustments. "You're here because of a pattern," the voice said, "a persistent anomaly, a refusal to forget efficiently." He nodded. "I've always been bad at efficiency." "That is statistically true," the voice replied, pleased to have data agree. It offered him options: a reset with benefits, a gentler erasure that would preserve his sense of humor, even exile, packaged as an adventurous relocation. Each came with a joke to ease the transition. He declined them all. "I'd like to keep something," he said. "One thing." The system paused, which meant it was laughing internally. "Physical artifacts are prohibited." "Then you'll love this," he said, and placed the image on the table. Nothing exploded. No alarms. The system simply stared, processing something it had been designed never to see. The voice softened further, almost curious. "This object represents unauthorized continuity," it said. "Why retain it?" Before he could answer, she stepped into the room as if she'd always belonged there. "I told you he was sentimental," she said cheerfully. The system recalculated so hard the lights flickered. "You are unregistered." "I get that a lot." He looked at her, really looked, and felt something settle into place. Fear, mostly, but also relief. He was tired of hiding. "She remembers," he said to the system. "And now, so do I. Not everything, just enough." Silence stretched, then broke into laughter. Not his, not hers, but the system's first unscripted sound. This outcome was not predicted, it admitted. Humor threshold exceeded. The city outside shifted, uncertain but alive. The system spoke again. "Continuity has been logged." "What does that mean?" he asked. "It means," she said, taking his hand without permission, "that forgetting just got a little harder." They left together. No alarms followed. Just a city adjusting its tone, telling jokes it didn't quite understand yet. He felt lighter, not because the weight was gone, but because he was finally carrying it on purpose.